Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mac with another game from the Global Gamers qualifying round. This is the round of 64, a best of 3 series between the DalaiLamer and his opponent, HasHe. I am told he's pronounced Hash. I was able to cast his round of 128 game against Machine, where he was victorious, so that was a pretty good match. So I expect we'll see a good game between these two players as well. I guess I should say games, since there will be multiple games, up to 3 depending on how many wins each player gets. Before we get to the match, however, I do want to quickly thank those sponsors once again, iFixit, Esports United, as well as the Handsome Nerd. So those are the title sponsors. They have made this tournament consequential and exciting with lots of big names, including guys like these who I personally have not heard of before, but clearly ought to have heard before because they're fairly solid players. So without further ado, here is the match. Currently not much going on, which is very typical this early on. No early scouts. We are getting a second scouting attempt from the Zerg with the drone. Always sensible, especially against players that you aren't familiar with and on large maps. So this looks like the Overlord did spot the command center. I think he did pull out just in time so that HasHe was not able to see where his opponent was. This drone is coming back, probably will be building a hatchery here very soon. Might even go with the hatchery before the spawning pool, given that his drone is already here. Looks like that is what he is going to do, so the hatchery is down at 14. And we'll either get a 14 or a 15 spawning pool. Meanwhile, HasHe is taking the long way around. Clockwise was not the right direction to go, and he will not find this hatchery until it is probably about half up. Meanwhile, in HasHe's base, he has now detected the Overlord. This is actually really nice play by DalaiLamer there. DalaiLamer. He waited until the scout would be most of the way around the map anyways before betraying his position. So by the time this SCV knew which way to go, he'd already committed to everywhere else. So that's pretty nice. This hatchery is now spotted, and the SCV is headed into the Zerg base. The spawning pool is already down. No gas as of yet. And a slight worker advantage for the Zerg, which I find a little bit unusual. So is there anything going on in the Terran base? I see that he has his gas already up and running and has a fair deal of gas saved up. So we'll have to see where that gas ends up going. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Quick Factory or Air. No Tech Lab, however, going down on the barracks. So there we have HasHe has laid down his first factory. Probably going to see some Hellion harass, perhaps followed by Banshee harass. And he is camping out at the Zelnaga watchtower, and this Overlord looking like he's just going to go set up position somewhere else. So the fast expansion is up for the Zerg player, so he gets that nice early advantage. However, he will need to fend off some harassment from his opponent. A second gas going up for HasHe already, so 2 gas to 1 for the Terran player. He is slightly behind in terms of workers, but not when you factor in that mule. Still no tech buildings down for the DalaiLamer. I keep wanting to say Lama. 1 spine crawler, but we have not seen lair tech, nor have we seen Zergling speed. He's just now getting his gas, so he will have more options available to him fairly soon. Some scouting Zerglings are running about the map. They probably found this SCV and either killed him or forced him away. So the Zerg player does now have map control, but pretty soon there will be some Hellions on the ground. There is the first factory and a starport coming down. So we're definitely going to be getting some early Hellions. DalaiLamer is now sacrificing this Overlord to get a good look, and he now does see the factory and starport, so probably pretty pleased about that. No tech building at all, so no tech lab or reactor yet. So I don't think he ever actually saw this Hellion, so the Hellion will come as a surprise, but there is this first spine crawler up and a queen, so it will be tough for him to get any serious damage done with a single Hellion, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Hellion moving in, the queen gets a good position there and an early shot. The Hellion is going to pull out, it seems. Not able to get a run by because of all these lings in the way, so he's going to try and skirmish with them and get some kills. That spine crawler nicely positioned, so he will not be able to get up the ramp without being hit several times. And it looks like he is just going to give up. DalaiLamer just pulls out, blaming lag for his lack of commitment with that Hellion. He is now expanding on his own and producing Banshees from this starport with a tech lab. So I guess he didn't like the looks of the Hellion harass, so he's now going to try something different. Now the tech lab is down and he's training siege tanks, so either early push being planned or just to defend up. And another barracks also being built inside the Terran base. Now we have a ton of Lings coming out, which is an interesting thing to come out from Lamer here. I guess he is concerned about further pressure. He has not begun to research Zergling speed, instead opting for that quick lair tech. And no tech buildings as of yet. I take that back. There is a Spire. The Spire is down. So Mutalisks against Terran, which is a pretty good decision. Very, very popular build. The question is, will he have enough Mutalisks up by the time the Banshees get here? So another Overlord being driven back. I don't know if he's seen a tech lab. No, he did get pretty far in with that, so he sees the command center and the tech lab. May have even spotted a Banshee or two. So we'll see if he responds to that in any way. Does have only the 2 queens. And this Baneling Nest and Spire are both detected by a nice scan there. So good timing on the scan. And somewhere nearby, HasHe should be massing some Banshees. There is the first Banshee. Clearly tried to harass while I wasn't looking because he's taken some damage. And HasHe is now throwing down his own orbital command for his expansion to try and keep pace with his Zerg opponent. He is researching Siege Tech and a Ravens. This is a very similar build to what we saw against Machine in the round of 128. He is playing Marines, Siege Tanks. Banshees is a new twist. But Siege Tanks just so potent against Zerg all around, especially when it has something else to eat up the damage. Mutalisks are the right call. They do have a little bit of trouble with mass Marines, but if your opponent does mass Marines, then Banelings are the right choice. Unfortunately, Siege Tanks will often kill the Banelings first, and then the Mutalisks will get cleaned up by the Marines who are not killed by Banelings. So it all comes down to numbers, and the Zerg player picking up a 3rd expansion to give himself that numerical advantage. So it looks like both players are going to be content to just sit back and wait for the time being to try and get a macro advantage. Neither player really pressing too deep into their opponent's base. It looks like the Lamer is going to be moving in to harass the Terran base. This is a nice advantage he does have on this map. He doesn't have to work his way over the Terran army to get to the base, so he's going to be able to snipe out this missile turret being constructed. No more SCV there. He's going to get a lot of SCV damage here. The Marines are quite a ways away. They are streaming in, but the damage is done. Several of those SCVs have been done, and I don't think there's enough Marines here. It looks like all these Marines of HasHe are going to be taken out by this massive Mutalisks, and they're trying to retreat, but there's nothing there except for an auto turret, and all the Marines have gone down. DalaiLamer's Mutalisks are now in control of the map. 2 more being produced, and tons of Lings being produced. He's going to follow up with early pressure, and he does have complete control of the Terran base right now. This excellent Mutalisk push is just what he needed. His opponent was not prepared for it, and I think this is going to be it. DalaiLamer does successfully kill all those Marines, and he is going to get a ton of buildings and workers. Another SCV going down, trying to build a missile turret, and there are those Zerglings finally arriving. No speed, but they're going to swarm into that base. No defenses, only 1 Marine, and that will be the end of this Terran base for certain. Lings are loose inside, tons of missile turrets, not being able to shoot at those, and the Mutalisks just have to hold back any Banshees or reinforcements coming from this expansion. And a very, very nice play there by DalaiLamer. HasHe just did not prepare for the Mutalisks in any substantial way. No armory for Thor, no missile turrets up in time, and just not enough Marines. So very good on DalaiLamer there to anticipate that there were not enough Marines to withstand all of his Mutalisks. And I don't really see what HasHe can do to try and keep in the game. He's going to lose these production facilities, now lifting them off to try and get them into the missile turret coverage. It looks like this starport is going to be burning before it lands, so he's probably going to lose this. And the Zerglings finishing off the last of the Terran main. So HasHe doing his best to stay in this match. He is fairly strong with these 2 siege tanks here, but he is being out macroed 4 bases to 1, has lost almost all of his infrastructure, and will be very, very hard for him to try and get a grip on this game. I'm actually quite surprised he hasn't GG'd quite yet. Just something as simple as losing all these supply depots. That is just so far behind. So many minerals lost because of it. And this one also going to burn down right away here. The Zerg player is continuing to tech nicely. 2 evolution chambers and an infestation pit, so he is not playing casually now that he has such a strong advantage. No doubt going to be pressuring his opponent to finish things off. And I'm not really sure why HasHe is shooting at his own missile turrets there. That must have been an accident. Doesn't really seem that he has anything in mind. He is throwing down more production buildings, which is a good thing to see, but just no income right now, playing off of only 20 SCVs under 57 drones. So really, at this point, DalaiLamer can just build Mutalisks and completely overwhelm his opponent regardless of unit counters. He is, however, producing a bunch of roaches to supplement his Mutalisk army. Roaches being probably the best choice against fortified siege tanks. They have a lot of hit points, and he is picking up the roach speed. A few more Marines have come out. They're able to push back these Mutalisks, but really the Mutalisks can just harass any exposed contour of this base, and I imagine the good game has to be imminent now. The last of those Marines are caught, stimming to try and catch them. 4 Marines against 12 Mutalisks. Nice point defense drone there, but looks like it's out of energy, and the last one of those Marines are killed. And there it is, finally, the good game from HasHe. DalaiLamer is the victor, takes Game 1 here on Metalopolis. So we'll have to take a look at Game 2 and see if HasHe can turn things around. So let's take a look at the next one right away.